Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're unpacking a massive multi-billion-dollar move that is literally reshaping the global supply chain right before our eyes. We're talking about Apple and Broadcom's brand new semiconductor agreement. It's a staggering $30 billion deal that's shifting high-value microchip production all the way back to the United States. So if you've been wondering why on earth tech giants are suddenly spending tens of billions to build out domestic supply chains, well, you are definitely in the right place.
Okay, let's dive into this. How exactly did a looming 25% tariff threat act as the ultimate catalyst for Apple to drop $30 billion on a single factory in Colorado? To really understand this, we've got to zoom out and look at the macro environment. See, the U.S. administration had been heavily pushing for domestic technology production, and to force the issue, they threatened a 25% import tariff on electronic goods manufactured in Asia. Now, Apple, looking at its incredibly complex, globally distributed supply chain, suddenly faced a massive, truly massive, financial and operational risk. They needed a foolproof way to mitigate that risk and completely sidestep those potential import tariffs.
And, the pressure mounted really quickly. Back in 2019, those 25% Asian tariff threats really started heating up. Then, bam, 2021 brought crippling global memory shortages and just total saturation at overseas foundries. It was a massive wake-up call for the entire industry. So, by 2022, Apple actually attempted to design all of their connectivity silicon in-house. They wanted to bypass third-party suppliers entirely. But, well, here's the reality check. Radio frequency technology is incredibly complex. It's like a giant puzzle. Apple quickly realized that trying to replicate Broadcom's highly specialized proprietary RF filtering tech was just going to take way too long. So in 2023, they pivoted hard. They negotiated a massive extension with Broadcom, locking in a supply agreement all the way to 2031. And this brilliantly illustrates the sheer scale of that pivot. $30 billion. Wow. This isn't just a standard purchase order, right? This is a multi-year guaranteed purchasing commitment from Apple. By putting this kind of massive number on the table, Apple isn't just buying chips, they are essentially buying Broadcom a guaranteed safety net. This locked-in revenue gives Broadcom the absolute financial certainty they need to invest heavily in their own local infrastructure, completely without the fear of losing their absolute biggest client. Which leads us directly to this next number, $1.5 billion. Backed by that colossal $30 billion guarantee from Apple, Broadcom confidently went ahead and approved a $1.5 billion capital expenditure project. And what is all that money for? It's strictly to modernize, upgrade, and expand their microchip fabrication facilities. They are taking that guaranteed Apple cash and pumping it straight back into their own manufacturing capabilities. It's a real game changer. So, welcome to the Fort Collins manufacturing facility in Colorado. We are zooming in from those massive global macroeconomic problems down to a highly localized physical solution. This right here is the actual factory where the silicon wafers are produced. It's no longer just some abstract concept on a boardroom whiteboard, it's a physical footprint right on American soil. It's buzzing with engineers and fabrication lines building the exact components that connect your everyday devices to the world. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is what they're actually making inside that Fort Collins plant. They are manufacturing FBAR filters. That stands for Film Bulk Acoustic Resonators. Basically, these tiny acoustic devices are absolutely essential for your phone to clean up cellular signals. Think of them like incredibly strict bouncers at a club, right? They precisely separate the radio frequency bands, kicking out all the background noise, so your 5G, Wi-Fi, and Bluetooth can transmit cleanly without dropping the connection. This strict separation of frequencies is exactly why our modern mobile networks can handle such massive data throughput all at once without turning into a jumbled mess of interference. But here's the thing, this partnership goes way, way beyond just buying standard off-the-shelf parts from a catalog. It represents a major shift toward custom ASICs, or application-specific integrated circuits. Basically, Apple and Broadcom are sharing their deepest technical expertise to co-develop chips that are custom-built for singular, highly efficient tasks, stuff like advanced 5G filtering and localized artificial intelligence. Apple isn't just acting like a customer here. They are a hands-on, active co-developer, making absolutely sure this new hardware perfectly matches the highly optimized software running inside your iPhone. And for Broadcom, honestly, this partnership is a dream come true. As you can see, Apple accounts for roughly 20% of Broadcom's total annual revenue. That's a huge slice of the pie.
By signing this agreement all the way through to 2031, Broadcom just locked in a massive, incredibly steady chunk of cash with a single, highly reliable buyer. This reality completely erases Wall Street's anxiety. Any lingering fears investors might have had about Broadcom suddenly losing its biggest customer? Yeah, those have pretty much vanished overnight. Let's move to Brudu and see how this builds into a really fascinating ripple effect, an impact chain. First, a single boardroom signature from Apple triggers Broadcom's $1.5 billion expansion. That massive investment then modernizes the Fort Collins factory, which in turn starts pumping out over 15 billion US-made chips. And ultimately, this allows Apple to completely bypass those international tariff threats and global supply bottlenecks we talked about earlier. It's an elegant end-to-end silicon supply chain, all kicked off by one major corporate commitment. But what does this all mean for you, practically speaking? Well, for us consumers, having this domestic buffer means much more stable device availability. It protects us against those sudden, annoying retail price spikes that happen when foreign supply lines get disrupted. Locally, it directly sustains hundreds of high-paying, high-tech manufacturing and engineering jobs right there in Colorado. And for the broader tech industry, it actively shifts the U.S. back from being a region that traditionally just designs chips to one that actually physically manufactures them again. All of this incredible operational shift operates under Apple's American Manufacturing Program, or AMP. Broadcom is essentially serving as the ultimate blueprint for this entire initiative. It shows, step by step, exactly how tech giants can leverage their massive cash reserves to directly fund the physical infrastructure of their key suppliers. It's all about ensuring their own long-term supply chain resilience. So, the crucial point is, while this deal is an absolute masterstroke for securing wireless components, it is not a total cure-all, not by a long shot. Yes, Apple now has a nicely secured U.S. supply for its wireless and RF chips, but, and this is a big but, they still rely entirely on TSMC in Taiwan for their main A-series and M-series processors. You know, the actual central brains of your iPhones and MacBooks. So, despite this massive $30 billion investment in Colorado, Apple's broader supply chain remains heavily exposed to geopolitical issues and logistical bottlenecks in Asia. And actually, even the domestic side of this deal carries its own hidden logistical risks. Moving so much vital production to a primary facility in Fort Collins creates a very high geographic concentration. Think about it. If a natural disaster or a prolonged power failure hits that specific plant, it could potentially disrupt Apple's entire global assembly line. Plus, any execution or construction delays in modernizing that Colorado plant could leave Apple drastically short on vital components right when they need to ramp up for, say, a major holiday product launch. Then, of course, there is the financial risk. Locking in a $30 billion commitment all the way until 2031 significantly restricts Apple's financial flexibility. In the fast-moving tech world, a decade is literally an eternity. By legally binding themselves to Broadcom's technology for that long, Apple is placing a massive, highly inflexible bet. What if a highly disruptive, completely new, non-FBR wireless technology emerges in the next few years? Apple can't just easily pivot. They are contractually bound to continue buying billions of dollars worth of older-style chips. Which leaves us with a massive, lingering question. If a brand new wireless technology replaces FBAR tomorrow, is Apple trapped in a $30 billion mistake? Have they successfully secured their supply chain, or have they just changed themselves to a sinking ship? It's an immense financial and technological gamble hidden right there inside your phone's super reliable 5G connection, and it honestly makes you look at your next device upgrade a little differently, doesn't it? Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and remember to always keep questioning the tech you use every single day.